Well, over a vast area of the Stampriet aquifer basin in central Namibia, a Russian company and 12 subsidiaries are drilling for uranium. They're recommending using sulphuric acid to pump the uranium up. Politicians and activists argue that this will inevitably cause leaks into the aquifer. The entire Kalahari basin, including towns, villages, farms, domestic livestock and wildlife, is dependent on this groundwater. Well, joining me now to expand more on this issue is Bernardus Swarbooi, who is a member of the Namibian Parliament and leader of the Landless People's Movement. Bernardus, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Just take us through some of the concerns, the major concerns that you've raised with regards to the resumption of uranium mining in Namibia.
Well, good morning and thank you, Kosa, for having me. Now, as you articulated very well to your audiences, the challenge is that this excesses of uranium is becoming quite a major concern. Our experiences with uranium mining in the western side of the country is that it has polluted our underground water so much that the drilling of new boreholes in some of the areas in the Erongo region is now prohibited, and there is very little that is spoken about it. So as you correctly said, for us to allow another uranium company to do uranium in a very prime area of our land where agriculture has been the mainstay for over many decades is just untenable and unnecessary. When you look at the number of people that are likely to be employed versus the environmental damage that will be occasioned in that area, a damage which, quite frankly, is irreversible, one can just not allow this uranium mine to commence its work.
Right. Sorry to interrupt there, Bernardus, but my understanding is that the Russian company in question has solicited a groundwater study or report compiled by a Kazakhstan firm, which essentially has greenlit the project and kind of thrown out a lot of the arguments that have been put forward by politicians and activists claiming that this is likely to be an environmental disaster. This report essentially says that no such damage will be done to the area, to the aquifer basin. So do you have any research of your own that in essence throws out some of these arguments?
There is research being done by people like Dr. Chris Brown, and we are ourselves going to be engaging with the community directly, or with the communities directly in this week, actually. But referring to the research that has been done by the Kazakhstani company, it's quite strange that the research has not been very transparent and that the results have not been transparently shared with everybody. I mean, certainly we must now celebrate Kazakhstani companies as the harbinger of transparency, and that just does not fly. With the level of criticism that was raised, and even with allegations that they have drilled over 1,000 boreholes, I would have suspected we would have wanted much more greater of an engagement to have taken place, and that we can collectively share our challenges and concerns. The way they are doing it is quite unacceptable. They just have a Kazakhstani company that they say has done the research. We do not know what the methodology is that this company has followed. We are not sure whom they consulted. And listen, Kazakhstan is within the Soviet and Russian orbit. Why should we trust them now with our environment?
Now, you've argued, Bernardus, that the advantage of the employment opportunities that could potentially be gained by an investment of this nature do not outweigh the sort of environmental damage that we're likely to see. But this company is looking to invest between $300 million and $500 million over the next 25 years. That's quite a larger sum of money to be invested in that area. Communities likely to benefit from that investment. Do you still stand by that argument that this simply doesn't outweigh the damage that could potentially be seen as an outcome of this uranium mining?
Well, look, investments are what they are, and they can play with the figures. That doesn't matter. But what is the upper amount or number of people that the mine can employ? 2,000, 3,000 versus the irreversible damage that we perceive will be done. And mind you, this is the Kalahari basin that would also have its water flow right into South Africa, I think in the Northern Cape and probably some areas of the northwestern province, as well as in the western side of Botswana. So if $300 billion is enough to waste our water resource irreversibly, well, let them make the argument and we'll see who has the moral and legal high ground. There is just nothing to be gained by an amount of money to be invested in exchange for the right to pollute. This is how we see it. The right to pollute cannot be so powerful because an X number of millions of US dollars is put up, dangled in front of our faces. And if you look at the agricultural sector, this is the sector that people have been able to strive on their own with their own resources and maintain themselves, having used the commons as well as the commercial land very sparingly, very conscientiously, and have not had this scale of likely pollution coming. This is a resource, Dokoso, that has been maintained by communities for centuries. And now with this one mine to come with its millions of dollars to have the right to pollute is not something that we can just sit by and watch. It doesn't make sense. It's not profitable. And what are the ways in which any of the pollution that they are likely to make will be reversed? No mine is pollution neutral, least a uranium mine. So let's just be clear. Even people that work at uranium mines under the best technological systems still in Namibia suffer after 10, 15 years of major health problems. We have known it, we have seen it, we have lived it. Our own families have worked in uranium mines. It's not just the mine and the pollution it does, it's also the health concern of any other likely worker that will have. And by the way, we have sufficient uranium mines that don't contribute as much as people claim they should and that they could. And it is, by the way, owned by Chinese and so on. Now we are again pivoting to the Russians and destroying an industry run by Namibians, which is the agricultural sector, that has employed Namibians, that does not depend on any other person but the input of Namibians exclusively. And we should be protecting our own people, our own interests, our national security, our environmental sanctity before we allow anyone to do billions or whatever it is in front of us.
Unfortunately, we've run out of time, Bernardus, but I want to thank you so much for making time to talk to us about this all-important issue. That was Bernardus Swarbooi, who is a member of the Namibian Parliament and leader of the Landless People's Movement.